Yo, what is going on, everybody? This is Mysticall, and today I'm bringing you probably a very important video on basically something you should definitely know on a monk, and that is how to use your movement just in general, how to use your movement, primarily Chi Torpedo. That's what this video is going to be aimed around, is how to use Chi Torpedo and roll. You could apply the same concepts to roll. I'll be using Chi Torpedo during this video because that's what you're pretty much using in most matchups. You can use, your Tiger's Lust, I guess like Frost Mages and Survival Hunters, but this video is going to be aimed around movement and how to use your movement to your advantage. So let's just get right into it. So I've been trying to plan this video for quite a while now, and the first thing I want to show you guys is what distance you can cover when you use Chi Torpedo. For example, if I start from my statue, boom, this is how far Chi Torpedo brings me. And actually, before we go any forward, I kind of want to do something real quick. Alright, so I hope this is a little bit of a different angle now, but I hope it helps you guys. So, if you want to go left, you just press your A button and you roll. Oh, forgot to press my keybind. Start here. You roll. Boom. And if you want to go back, if you want to go right, you press your strafe right and you roll, which is perfect. And you could even roll backwards. It's the reason why I have S keybound, is because if you hit it really fast, roll goes into the direction that your character is moving to. So if I want to roll, I just quickly press S, boom, and I can roll. Now, for those of you who are new to Monk, it might not be too familiar. You could also roll diagonally. So I could roll over here. I'm going to try and guess, but I'm probably going to roll about like right there, maybe. And you could do this. You could achieve this by pressing your up button and then your strafe right. So I'll show you as soon as I get the statue. If you going forward and you press D as soon as you get there, boom, roll. Oh, look at that. See? After enough practice, you get to really know the distances. And you can do the same thing. You can go press up, and if you do your strafe left, if you go up, strafe left, boom, you can roll diagonally forward and to the left. And just like you can roll backwards, you can actually roll diagonally backwards, which is really hard to do, especially in a PvP scenario, but I'll show you. After this, I'm going to go to every single arena map. I'm going to show you different ways you can use your movement to avoid crowd control, to push into enemy teams, and to stun any enemy healers, and hopefully that's helpful. I know hands-on is normally how I learn things. So let me show you how to diagonally roll backwards. So you press your backwards keybind, and just like going forward, except instead of going forward, you're going backwards. You press your back pedal, and then you strafe right. So let me do that again, and I'll do it this time. You roll backwards, strafe right, roll, and boom, you go backwards diagonally. And just like to the right, you can do that to the left. So I'll show that to you. So you could do this, hit your left keybind, roll, and now you can roll backwards. And that's how do you Chi Torpedo? Just plain old Chi Torpedo. Now, outside of pressing Chi Torpedo, because sometimes pressing Chi Torpedo is, honestly, it's too much, right? If, let's say, we're by this pillar, and we're trying to kite, and, there's a Death Knight. Let's say there's a Death Knight right here, and there's a Rogue right here, we're playing in Smoke Bomb Cleave, and the Death Knight the Rogue isn't scary right now because we have wall. He just stunned us. He doesn't have a kick, but we're really scared about the Death Knight, and we're going this way. And if we roll this way, oh, that's a bad example. If we roll this way, he's just going to death grip us or change device us. So we need to stay as close to the pillar as we can. So what you want to do is you want to jump, roll, and stay really close to the pillar, and you avoid the Death Knight. So what I'm trying to show you is that you can also jump before you Chi Torpedo. So for a different distance. So if you jump Chi Torpedo, you actually only go half the distance of what a normal Chi Torpedo is. So let's say right here is our jump. And if you just normally Chi Torpedo, you go about here, right? And that's just how it is. The jumping is helpful for, and I'll get into this on specific maps, but it's really helpful for, let's say there's a healer right here. So maybe instead of a skull, it's a Resto Druid that's right here, right? And if we roll, we're going to overshoot it, and let's say we're slowed, and that kind of sucks, and we can't even get to this guy because now the Druid knows we want to leg sweep him, and now they're going to cut away, and you'll never get the leg sweep for maybe 20 more seconds. But if you jump Chi Torpedo, you're like right on top of them. You can stun them off. You can do whatever you want. It's also really good for Way of the Crane because you don't want to waste time. Overshoot it with Chi Torpedo here, and the druid's here, you don't want to waste time while Way of the Crane is active, right? Like, I'm sure this happened to me all the time. You overshoot it, and then you're busy chasing after the DPS or the healer instead of actually getting damage out. So that's why you jump. So now you're right on top of them, and you can do damage. And again, you can do the same thing in all directions. If you jump, press S in the middle of the air, you can go backwards. And I'll show that again. I hope this helps. My keyboard is small. I'm sorry. This is my S keybind. If you jump, so jump, S in the middle of the air, boom. You roll backwards, half the duration. And I'll show you different scenarios where this is useful. It's really good on Blades Edge Arena, and I'll show you how. And of course, you can do it sideways, diagonal. It's whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. As long as you're hitting keep that direction midair, it doesn't matter. So boom, jump, half the distance. Jump, half the distance. It's pretty, and I can show you how to practice this. The reason that people started doing this, by the way, was back in WoD. For those who didn't play Monk in WoD, Chi Torpedo dealt damage. So if you jumped, if you Chi Torpedo through somebody, it only hit them once. But if you jump Chi Torpedo in the same position, it actually hit them 2 or 3 times. And how I used to practice this was I would put my port right next to a cliff. And it's Chi Torpedo's a little different now because you used to be able to Chi Torpedo in place. But basically, you would just jump, Chi Torpedo, and I would just keep porting, and just over and over and over until I was standing still. They changed Chi Torpedo to different, so you actually keep Chi Torpedoing while you hit the ground. It used to not be like that. So yeah, that's basically the movements, the basic movements of Chi Torpedo. Obviously, roll is the same thing. You don't normally jump and roll though, because roll is pretty much already half the distance of Chi Torpedo, so you just normally just roll. But now I'm going to take this video and I'm going to go to the different maps and give you different scenarios of how you can use these fundamentals in Arena. So we are in the Nagrand Arena right now, and I'm going to try and give you guys some scenarios on each and every map, what you could do with Chi Torpedo to avoid maybe crowd control or push into the enemy team or to kite better. So the first scenario is, let's just say this is a mage right here and your team is on them and the mage blinked away. And the mage is casting poly on you, and you don't have port. Let's just say you already used port, right? And you don't have port. So if you're stuck here in the middle of the map, it's really not good to be in the center of the map. But trust me, you could just press Way of the Crane or something, and now you're stuck here. Now what you could do to avoid this polymorph is range it. What that means is, polymorph has maybe a 30 or 30 yard range, I think. Really not too sure on that. So you could just range it, which is basically just getting away. So I think this is far enough away. Yeah, that should be about far enough. You can roll backwards, or if you want to be even more defensive, now people use QWE and people use ASD and I use AWD. So you could roll diagonally to this back pillar right here. So what you can do is hold down your back pedal, and while you're backpedaling, hold down your strafe left. So really quick. Now obviously you don't want to, if you're here, you don't want to do it because you're just going to roll into that, right? You're just going to roll right into this wall, or not, but sometimes you will. And if you're right here, it's usually pretty good. You could backpedal, roll away, boom, Chi Torpedo, and you're behind the pillar, and you can avoid all crowd control on you because the mage might try and get some follow-up or try and get the priest to do some damage or crowd control. So again, mage casting polymorph or druid casting clone, something. You could roll diagonally by just pressing back pedal and strafe left and Chi Torpedo, which is pretty good. Now another scenario. I don't know if these pillars are exactly like the arena, but just something quick about this map. I think it's unique to this map is you can actually roll in between these pillars. It's pretty much the exact distance, so you could roll from pillar to pillar pretty easily. Like it's one Chi Torpedo. Just start walking. Maybe a little bit past it, boom, and you're already at the next pillar. So just in case you have a DPS training you, and you want to get around the pillar really quick, but you want to also create some distance, you could just go from pillar to pillar with one Chi Torpedo. Now let's say if 2 DPS on you, you really can't get away, and you're stuck behind this pillar. Let me give you that scenario from before. Let's say you have a Death Knight right here that's on you, and you have a Rogue that's training you. Again, they just, stun you, so you don't have to worry about anything, but you're really worried about the Death Knight. Death Knights are the biggest problem, really. They do a lot of damage, and if you the problem is, this used to happen to me all the time, and I used to be getting so annoyed, is I would roll away from the rogue or away from DK, but then I'd roll off the wall, and then that thing would just like grip me back or chains of ice me, and then I'm stuck, right? Then I'm stuck in the middle of the map with 2 DPS absolutely destroying me. So what I tend to do versus if I want to kite melee is, one, I might just roll into the wall, get that speed buff, and just keep kiting. Or if you want to, if you're right here, if the druid's DK is bashing you right here, you could actually use the wall, roll away, and get to the next pillar. Something you could also do is, again, if they're chasing you this way, you could roll, and you don't want to kite, you know, you don't want to get roll over here, is you can come around here, roll against the wall, it brings you around the corner, and you just keep kiting. You really just use the wall to your advantage is what I'm saying. I know it seems stupid to roll into a wall, and in some situations, I've made myself look stupid. You know, I think this mage is casting poly on me, and I try and roll backwards, and I roll into the wall, and then I get CC'd. But there are definitely scenarios where rolling into the wall actually isn't that big a deal, and it's actually, I think it's pretty good. Again, you just roll into the wall, you get the speed buff, because, you know, Chi Torpedo gives you the 60% increased, or 30% increased, and it stacks 2 times. So again, I try and roll, keep going with the wall, boom, you're around the corner. This guy's still chasing you, you can still roll. If he's getting close to you, just ramp peace, just keep kiting, keep kiting. When he gets to you, port away, and then that's how you normally kite with Chi Torpedo on Nagrand Arena. Now, something you can do, and I'm waiting for Chi Torpedo cooldown to come back up, and it's not something I normally do, and not something I would, you know, advise people to do, but I would do it in 2s, mostly because it's normally 1 DPS chasing after me. I'll show you once I get 2 charges of Chi Torpedo. I just want to take this time to thank you everybody so much for watching this video. You guys are insane. Thank you so much for the subs. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. I love each and every single one of you. Hope everyone has a great weekend. So here we go. We got 2 Chi Torpedoes here. Something you can do if you're stuck here. Let's say there's DK on you, and I don't know, you're panicking. Everybody panics. And you just really want to get away. You know, let's say you just replaced port. You can't port away, and you need to get out of there. You could actually roll out and then roll into the next one, the next pillar. You could use both your rolls pretty fast, you know, pretty quickly to just go from one pillar to the next, especially on the Nagrand Arena. Not something I would advise, because you could literally, the distance is, you know, 1 Chi Torpedo, right? So, but you could also do that if you're panicking. Completely okay. And I think that's pretty much it for Nagrand Arena. Alrighty, so we are here in Black Rookhold Arena, and this guy's attacking me, but, you know, it's right here on the map in case anyone wants to practice. The first thing you'll notice is that Chi Torpedo actually isn't long enough. It doesn't give you the distance to get from one entrance to another. So most of the time you're gonna be positioned out here. If you get swapped to, it's really good if you can just roll away. If you have a mage right over here, and you need to roll away, you could, again, roll backwards into the arena, which I think is pretty good. This guy might follow me, right? And then you could keep lining. You keep lining. You have the speed buff from Chi Torpedo. You can just keep lining over and over again. Replace your port. Something you also might be able to notice is that you can actually roll, and it'll kind of shoot you forward a little bit. It's not too much of extra distance, but if you roll a little bit before this and you roll over it, it'll like shoot you a little forward, and it creates extra distance. Something else you could do is if you are, you know, somebody's standing right exactly where this guy is, you could actually stay rolled into the wall and just keep lining this, because this is LOS right here. So if you just keep kiting right here, he won't be able to get any casts off, and you can just keep kiting through here. If you put port here and you want to kite and someone's coming over here, you could roll and just stay around this big pillar. This big pillar is really good versus teams with like a lot of crowd control, because it's really just annoying, really. If this guy is trying to cast like mind control or something on me, it doesn't matter what mobility he uses. I can just keep roll into the wall and just get the speed buff, keep kiting around the wall, keep riding around, and as soon as he gets me, ring a piece. So you can use your mobility on this map pretty effectively, whether it is near this pillar or even if you're over here. So let's say the game is primarily over here. There really isn't much I do as far as Chi Torpedo goes. Sometimes I will kite them to like right here, and then I'll use this little gap in the wall in the entrance to just kite through it, you know, Chi Torpedo through it, roll, get a little LOS, and then maybe port back as soon as they get to me. So now the team's over there, and I'm right here, and then I can finally just chill. If they get to me, just ring a piece. Yeah, this map does have too many like little things you could do. Just, yeah, just kite around this pillar as much as you can. Kite into the wall if you want. You could even jump and kite there, get the speed buff. You could kite over the wall, create extra distance. And then obviously over here, you could just shoot through this, you know, the little gap and just heal up. All right, so this is old Blade's Edge Arena. I just flew to the Circle of Blood in Blade's Edge. But, you know, it'll get the job done, really. There isn't really much to talk about on this map, particularly. Now, there's a few things you could do. Just like the same scenario as before. You know, if you have a mage... Now, this you know, this map is pretty good for casters, I'd say. You know, if you got a warlock that wants to spam here, fear here, LOS is kind of weird on this map. If he's close enough to the edge, this is in his line, so he will be able to get that fear. And now, I don't think this is actually LOS. Now, if he's over here, it's not going to be LOS. But, you know, it gets a little gray here once he's in the center of the bridge. But for the most part, if he's like towards like the center over, you can still back and then roll backwards. And you're out of LOS. You have this huge pillar in the way. Something I do want to note on this map, though, is when you're jumping off the edge, you know, let's say you jump off the edge. There's double melee training you or something. You don't want to roll this way. You know, you don't want to roll this way because then you're stuck in the middle of the map. Sure, you can port away, but like let's say it's a DK and he can just grip you because you just ported in his line. So that kind of sucks. What you can do is when you jump down, I'll do it again. I'll try to do it in a really quick motion. Is you can actually jump down, hold down your S key while you're jumping down and roll backwards. So if you jump, hold down your S, you can roll backwards and then come around this side of the pillar. Most teams won't see that coming. And the thing about rolls, a little misdirection is actually pretty good because they might preemptively, if they jump down with you, they might start going this way because they, you know, they see the ramp here, and they might start going this way, and then all of a sudden you go that way, and now, you know, they have to use extra mobility to get to you. So I think I literally used this. I might be able to find the clip. I used this against a rogue mage that was training me to the ground, and what I did was the rogue was chasing me. I dispelled the poisons, I jumped down, I hit S, and I rolled backwards, and he jumps down, and I'm already going up this side of the ramp, and he's stuck down here, and I'm over here. I'm able to heal, which is really good. Other things on this map, this is a ramp. You can use this ramp with Chi Torpedo to get onto the side. I see some monks rolling up this side of the pillar, and then they're up here, but then like let's say the Death Knight is within LOS and they just grip you down, and it's a waste of Chi Torpedo. What you can do is you can get halfway up here, roll, and now there's no way they have LOS because you're right here and they're over here, you know. So let me try to explain that again for those who didn't quite follow. Let's say there's Death Knight right here, and Death Knight's training you, or somebody's training you, and you roll, and you get here, the Death Knight's just going to grip you. It's going to be a complete waste of Chi Torpedo, which sucks. Nothing sucks more than wasting Chi Torpedo or having no Chi Torpedoes left. Trust me, it's the worst feeling. But if you wait to get about like halfway up here, maybe about like right here, about halfway up the ramp. These ramps might not be the size, but if you get here and you just roll forward, there's no way he has LOS. And you could get, you know, if he's still chasing, you have time to port down here. You can come down here, you could heal, port back up when he gets to you. And when he gets to you, you could just keep rolling away, cut it out. He gets you, you just, you know, ring a piece. So, yeah, not a lot of things on this map. You know, you can roll backwards. You know, if you see CC coming at you, you can roll backwards, LOS with the pillar. You can roll, jump down and jump back up, and then obviously you can just roll off the edge, right? If you're close enough and your Chi Torpedo is still in progress, you could just Chi Torpedo super far away, kite away, just in case, you know, someone's kiting or training you, and you could just heal. Not something I normally do because I'd rather jump down, roll backwards, or jump down, port up, or something like that. But, you know, that's normally what I do on this map, and that's pretty much it for Blade's Edge Arena. Yeah. We'll just move on to the next map. And for the rest of the maps, I'm sorry, team. I cannot find them for the life of me in-game. And I don't have many people on right now to do war games to try and get the maps. So I'm just going to try and walk you guys real quick so this isn't too boring. On Dalaran Sewers, there isn't much you can do. Rolling is too far this way, so normally you don't roll this way. But what you can do is you could roll across the ramp right here. And what this does is from here down, this is actually LOS. So if someone's like CCing you here, if you drop down and roll across, there's no line there, so that's pretty good. And then that's pretty much it. You could roll over the steps and just roll over to create some distance, but this is honestly one of the toughest maps for us as monks, because you could put port here, this X, but they could still get to you, and then you could roll across and then try and get some LOS with the ramps, but honestly that's really hard, and Dalaran Sewers is really hard map for monks in general. Oh yeah, Ashamane's Fall. So this is a pretty decent map. The pillars are pretty big. So what you're going to want to do is just like on Nagrand Arena, you want to kind of roll into it a little bit around the edge so you don't roll really far, and you get gripped, for example. And just a little thing for you guys, the distance between these two right here, is long enough for Chi Torpedo. So if you roll from here to here, you could Chi Torpedo from pillar to pillar. But these two to this pillar, it doesn't reach it. So you're gonna have to like be halfway about, maybe like right around here to get behind this pillar. And that's just in case you're getting chased after by DPS or melee, and you need to get away. Place port here, roll this way, port back, stuff like that. So that's Ashamane's Fall. There isn't much going on here. Most of the time you won't be in the center of the map. You'll be around these pillars, trying to kite around these pillars, Chi Torpedoing from pillar to pillar, and then halfway across to get to that larger pillar. So this one is Ruins of Lordaeron, which is another smaller map. They have these gravestones. There's also one like over here somewhere. Nothing too crazy except for the fact that this entrance right here to the starting room and this pillar right here. So there's a little LOS here. You can go around this pillar, and what you can do is you can actually roll straight like right here, and you can get right around the edge, and that's a little LOS, and then you can put port in the starting room, which is kind of neat. What else you can do is you can here to here is one Chi Torpedo, which is pretty good, and nothing too crazy. What you can do is if you start rolling right here and you try and go over this, it'll actually launch you forward and create a little more distance. And you probably end up like right here, as opposed to if you started here and rolled to on top, you'd only get this much distance. But you get actually a little bit more distance if you roll over, and it kind of launches you forward. And the same distance is here. If you roll from like right around here, you will be able to roll to the little barrel that's over here. Again, I apologize that I can't do this in game. I can't find these maps in game. So I hope this is somewhat helpful. Boom. This is the biggest map in the game. This is Dalaran Arena. These right here are the largest pillars, I'd say, out of any arena. And what you're going to want to do is usually one roll, if you're like rolling right here, it usually launches you to about like right here. So it does make you overextend the pillar a little bit, but not as much as the other pillars. One roll is to maybe about here. So it's going to take a good, 2 rolls to get from pillar to pillar. So, second roll is here. This is first roll. So this is why the map, normally you're going to want to stay on the pillar. Roll from one edge, roll from another edge, roll to another edge, and just keep circling around the pillar. It's definitely helpful. If you do need to get away, though, you can always Chi Torpedo away. Chi Torpedo here, 1. Chi Torpedo 2. If you're stuck right here, let me change colors real quick. If you're stuck right here, and there's someone, can't CC on you, you always backwards roll here, this way, because this pillar is very large. It creates really good LOS for avoiding crowd control. Again, if you're here, you could also roll this way. Either one is fine. Whatever gets you around the pillar faster. Hopefully that is somewhat helpful. And we have Tiger's Peak. This one is a little bit different. The pillars are actually not square. They're, rectangular. So one roll is normally a little over the length of this side of the pillar, and then one roll will create you to overextend. So on this side of the pillar, you're gonna want to roll into the wall a little bit, and then go through the edge so you don't overextend. These stairs right here create really good LOS. If you roll over, if someone's chasing you over here, if someone's right here chasing you, or even trying to cast CC on you, and you roll over, this is actually LOS right here. So just get behind, and you can get around here. This little statue, create some LOS. Something I used to do, and it's really bad, is roll over here. It actually stops you. These little things right here, they'll stop you from rolling. Same with these little chains. So try not to roll over this thing. You want to roll over mainly the stairs and try and roll into the wall on the pillar. Now, as far as backwards rolling and stuff like that, if someone's casting CC on you here, you can always backwards roll this way. The pillars are a little awkward though because they are rectangular. So even though you think you're LOS over here, a mage can just blink and then CC you. So make sure you're completely behind the pillar, and you know that they only have one blink, so they can't get you if you're behind the pillar. And yeah, so we got Hook Point Arena. This one is pretty good. Again, you have these square pillars, which is really good for us. It does make things a little less awkward. One Chi Torpedo is about the lengths of getting from one pillar to another, which is pretty good. And then you have like the gate over here, the two gates over here, and you could roll between these if you want. This is my favorite map in the game. I love these fences so much. It's a smaller map, so obviously melee can train you on it. But if you can just keep rolling between, you could just, if a team is kind of you, just keep rolling in between these pillars. Place like a port here, Chi Torpedo here, port back. They get to you, go this way, and then come back. You could just keep Chi Torpedoing as much as you can between these pillars. And then the fence is really good for avoiding crowd control. Obviously, if you're like stuck here and someone's casting crowd control on you here, you can roll backwards or whatever and get behind the fence, and it's really good LOS for avoiding crowd control or damage that's going to be on you. And finally, we have the Mugambala Arena map, which is another large arena map. This is has a very large centerpiece, and it kind of has a Z-axis right here in the form of these stairs and there's these ramps. So this map is pretty good. Normally you could put port right here and then, kite them out. You can kite them out up here, and then you could port back into the room, and then that makes them have to come all the way back. And you could just keep doing that. As far as Chi Torpedo goes, one Chi Torpedo is the length of this pretty much. So if you have a DPS, training you and you're trying to get away, you could just you could just roll the length of this and quickly get behind LOS here. If you're playing up here and you roll off, you kind of want to aim to roll and then try and get to behind, this edge right here to avoid any crowd control or like damage on you. Now, what else you can do is this is actually LOS down here. So if you have a team that's mostly spellcasters, because you kind of want to get away from melee, you can actually jump down and probably roll backwards a little bit and get behind here. This is LOS. Also, if they're up here, you can also, this is LOS down here. Yeah, but primarily if melee are training you, you're going to want to be playing, port up here or in the room, either way, either side, and then kiting them around this huge pillar. Trust me, DPS, they might be able to get you eventually, but you can kite them for a long time by just rolling along these larger sides and then using the speed boost to go around, and then just keep Chi Torpedo in between, them trying to get to their slows and stuff. And I think that is all the maps, team. Let's hop back in game. So I know this was a long video, and I apologize for anyone that these videos can be long, but pretty much how you can practice this is just think of Chi Torpedo as it is your primary movement. So that's how you pretty much get around in PvP, and it's more than just using it to get crowd control on the enemy healer. It's also used for avoiding crowd control, using the pillar behind you, roll backwards, roll forward, whichever way. Use it to get away from people and to avoid crowd control. And you can practice this by just thinking in terms of, the length of Chi Torpedo, like Chi Torpedo is that long. So, how long is the pillar from in between each pillar? Is one pillar between each other, one Chi Torpedo, and is that worth, using the Chi Torpedo to get to that, pillar? Like in between, let's say in between these two trees right here, you can think, okay, team's training me. I'm going to Chi Torpedo away and try and get around the pillar, and do that if you can, and just think in terms of lengths of Chi Torpedo. And I hope this is helpful, just practice in the arena, really. You know, try and get good. You know, it definitely, you need to think quick on your feet when it comes to avoiding the crowd control. Like, you know, rolling backwards to avoid crowd control, going this way, going that way, going backwards again. You know, it definitely takes practice, but learning the movements of Monk is really important. Because it's so helpful, you know, just rolling backwards, knowing the lengths, knowing, okay, I know exactly, if I Chi Torpedo right now, I'm going to get right behind this pillar right now, boom, and I go around the edge, and you're just avoiding CC, damage, and let's say you come over here, and you come around, back over here, Chi Torpedo, I'm going to get around the pillar, boom, you're behind the pillar, perfect. Oh, he's coming for a polymorph over here, let me roll backwards, or you can roll diagonally. Honestly, I think movement and Chi Torpedo and roll is the most important thing. Oh, the healer's right here, but Chi Torpedo is going to overextend me. So you jump, roll. Now you're on top of him. Just keep jumping and rolling. And you should be able to get that crowd control. So I hope this opened your eyes to, you know, how important Chi Torpedo is. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I know movement, you can definitely tell who's like pretty decent at movement and who hasn't by, you know, seeing how they use Chi Torpedo. And I hope this was helpful for somebody. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer them. And with that said, hope everyone has a great day, and I'll see you later.